Tonight, we debate 8 Star Wars films. Welcome to Debate 8. This is the show where we pick a topic and you decide the winner. We have a great show lined up for you today. We are doing Star Wars. Obviously, the Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters this weekend. And we want to take a look back at 8 of the films that we have decided that we're going to break down today and have you guys vote and decide which one you think is the best Star Wars film of all time. Now, obviously, there are more than 8 films, so we were not able to choose all 8, but we did decide on the 8 that we felt that the majority of people, in general consensus, think are the top 8. So we'll see. But let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Let's go to our bracket so you can see where we're at. And for those of you who are new here to the show, what we do is we match up a 8-team tournament bracket. And just like a regular NCAA tournament, each round has 2 matchups going against each other. And then we are going to vote live here in the YouTube chat. And you are going to decide exactly who moves on. Let's take a look at our competitors right now. We have some, if you think about it, these are some incredible movies and films throughout the years, 40 years of Star Wars. We'll get into how we feel about the movies as soon as we get to the matchups, but let's just talk about who's going up against who right now. So we have, for our number 1 seed, we have The Empire Strikes Back going up against the 8th seed, The Last Jedi. For matchup number 2, we have the number 4 seed, Revenge of the Sith, going up against the number 5 seed of Rogue One. The number 3 seed of Return of the Jedi will be matched up against the number 6 seed, The Force Awakens. And our last matchup of the first round is the number 2 seed, A New Hope, going up against the number 7 seed of The Rise of Skywalker. Of course, the new film that is out right now in theaters. So there you go. There's our tournament bracket. I will explain how the voting works as soon as we get to it. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our first matchup here of The Empire Strikes Back against the Last Jedi, the 8th seed. So let's bring this up. So this, if you're new here, this is our matchup, our debate screen. We have on my right, your left, The Empire Strikes Back, and on the other side, the Star Wars, The Last Jedi. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to bring up our poll. I'm going to start it. So we have 5 minutes here to decide who we want to vote for, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to get all of our thoughts out in the open. So if you want to, while we're talking and while we're discussing, if you want to vote for The Empire Strikes Back, you want to hit exclamation vote 1 in the chat. And if you want to do The Last Jedi, exclamation vote 8 in the chat. So let me give you my thoughts. So I don't hate The Last Jedi. Do I think it's the greatest movie ever? Of course not. Do I think it's the greatest Star Wars movie ever? No, I don't. I think that they did a lot of things with Poe and Finn and the new characters that it didn't work for me. I left the movie the first time I saw it. I left it saying, okay, that was fun. It was enjoyable. I liked a lot of stuff that they did with Rey and a lot of the stuff that they did with Kylo Ren. And I thought that stuff worked, and they really moved their story along. But overall, I thought the film was good, not great, and it sort of has lost what I thought was good about it over many rewatches. But then we go Empire Strikes Back, which is the number one seed for a reason. This film clearly is not only a great Star Wars film, but it's definitely one of the best films of all time. It's hard to compete with this. But you know, the fact that it was a sequel had enough going for it as it was, but just, you know, expounding upon the relationship between Vader and Luke, expounding the relationship between Luke and Leia, and you really learn more about, you know, their connection in the Force, and you know, it starts out strong. You have the big reveal, and I don't know, it's one of my favorite, not only, like I said, not only Star Wars movies, but one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to vote too. Why, you know, I don't want my vote to be the only say here, but as you know, the channel grows and as the show grows, we're going to get a lot more people here in the chat giving their opinion, and I'm going to check out the chat and kind of give out everyone else's opinions as they come in and talk about it. No one's here at the moment, you know, a little behind the scenes. It's just, you know, me and whoever's watching this on VOD right now. And if you are watching on VOD, definitely come back when we go live the next week, and come and join us and give your votes. Normally we stream on Tuesday nights. Tonight's Monday night. We're doing it a little early because of Christmas, but normally it's Tuesday night, so come and join us. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump in the chat right now. I'm going to give my vote. I'm going to go !vote 1. And then if you're here and you check it out, and you can it'll vote for you. Every great thing about what we're doing here is that everything does it in the chat. You don't have to leave. You don't have to go to another website. Everything is done right here live in chat. So here we go. Right now we have 100% of the vote, obviously, because it's just me voting. So just to round it off as we wait for the timer to go down, you know what, I don't hate The Last Jedi. I know that, look, it's not moving on, so nobody has to worry. It's not going to be any major upsets here. There's no way Last Jedi's sniffing The Empire Strikes Back, but you know, I don't think it's the worst movie ever. I've seen enough movies in my lifetime to tell you that The Last Jedi is not the worst movie it's ever made. I've been watching movies for almost, you know, half a century, for 40 years plus. I'm telling you, it's not the worst movie in the world. Is it a great Star Wars movie? There's parts, you know, they do some cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie, there's some cool stuff in there. But you know, overall, not great. Empire Strikes Back, obviously, the introduction of Billy D. Williams, and his relationship with Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, some great on-screen chemistry, and it just works. There's a lot of stuff in that movie that works, and you know what? With the specialized editions and everything, it's the one that was most untouched, and that could be a factor. I'm telling you, that could be a factor in some of my voting later based on some of the special editions. So we'll see how it goes. All right, time is up. That means that The Empire Strikes Back with 100% of the vote is moving on. So what we do now, for those of you who are new here, I go ahead and I enter into our bracket our winner. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the bracket again and refresh that and see where we're at. So let's do that right now. Let's go to the bracket. So we are back with 100% of the vote of The Empire Strikes Back to, unfortunately, because it's just me, 0% for The Last Jedi. I have a feeling that if other people were here, Last Jedi definitely would have gotten some love, but it's just me tonight. Hanging out with you guys on this Christmas Eve. So Empire Strikes Back is the one moving on. So let's go ahead and go to our next one, which is debate number 2, Revenge of the Sith, going up against let's see here. Let's go here. How about this one? There we go. Revenge of the Sith versus Rogue One. That's where we need to go. So Revenge of the Sith going up against Rogue One. Let me start the poll here. There we go. All right, so here we go. Here's our matchup. Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One. So this one might surprise some people. Okay. So for me personally, I actually think Rogue One. All right, I'll say this. Rogue One is probably my favorite of the new Star Wars. After seeing The Rise of Skywalker, I think that that movie, and I don't want to get too much into that movie because we'll talk about that movie soon, but I think that movie does some really fun stuff. It's not necessarily the best script wise. Rogue One, I think, is also very fun and has a very good story. I like the script. I like the twists. So for me, Rogue One might be my favorite of the new Star Wars movies. Now let's talk prequels. It's now cool to like the prequels. It is what it is. I grew up I grew up with the original trilogy, and then the prequels came, and when I was growing up, everyone hated the prequels. But things have turned around, and I guess over 15 years and people rewatching it over and over again, and in my opinion, possibly becoming complacent about it, definitely gets people to appreciate these films a little bit more than maybe I would give them credit for. But that being said, I suppose if I'm going to pick a prequel movie that is the best, it's probably Revenge of the Sith. But I guess. I'll tell you what, though, if I'm being honest, and I know this is an extremely unpopular opinion, again, it doesn't bother me to give my unpopular opinion. Revenge of the Sith actually isn't my favorite prequel movie. My favorite prequel movie is Attack of the Clones. And before I get hate for that, I understand that a lot of people think it's the worst Star Wars movie, at least from the prequels, the worst prequel movie. I get it, and I can't argue. I can't argue that, except for the fact that I think Phantom Menace is actually the worst, because if I have to stand 2 more seconds of Jar Jar, I'm no amount of Darth Maul can make up for Jar Jar, in my opinion. So, and I know that the acting is not great in Attack of the Clones, but I think a lot of the action is really awesome, and a lot of the special effects, for the most part, are pretty good. So that's actually my favorite. There was no way I was going to be able to put this in the top 8. It's just no way. Nobody would have taken this thing seriously. So, that being said, episode 3 is the de facto prequel movie. So what do I think of episode 3? Episode 3 is a lot more serious. I suppose that the story is actually pretty good on paper. It's pretty good. I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Ewan McGregor, all of these movies would be absolute horrible. He saves it, which is why everyone's looking forward to an Obi-Wan series, because they know that Ewan McGregor brings it when he plays Obi-Wan. So the reason why this episode 3 is 4 seed is because I know that this is high on a lot of people's list. I think for me, though, I am going to vote Rogue One. I really enjoy that movie. I think that at the end of the day, for me, and I'm going to do exclamation vote 5, by the way, in the chat for anyone joining us late. I think that Rogue One, of all the prequels, felt the most like the original trilogy. I know the third act has some issues. I'm fully aware of that. I really would have liked to see what Gareth Edward did originally. I mean, so many cool shots in the trailer of, running on the beach up underneath a walker. Like, come on. Like, how cool would that have been? And I get that, during the editing process, I'm sure some things, didn't work out. Maybe it didn't track, but it would have been cool. But either way, I think it was fine. Generally, I do personally, I have a couple things that with the third act that's not great, but I think, overall, I this is a really enjoyable movie for me, and goodness, the very last scene with Darth Vader is one of the best Vader scenes ever. So, I mean, what are you gonna do? It was incredible. The first time you saw that, if you didn't know it was coming, I mean, dark room, red lightsaber, and then he just slices up fools. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. It's great. All right, so there we have it. We have our winner for this matchup. We have this side, Rogue One is going to move on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head on over to our bracket. We got Revenge of the Sith, unfortunately, with 0, and Rogue One coming in with 100% of the vote. Officially an upset, our first upset of the night. I wonder if that's going to be the only upset of the night, but I guess we'll find out. So let's go ahead and take a look and refresh that, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at our bracket one more time. Let's jump into that. So our bracket, we got Rogue One with 100% of the vote, moving on from taking on Revenge of the Sith. So that's going to be a nice little matchup in the next round. Empire Strikes Back versus Rogue One. All right, so the next one that we're going is the number 3 seed Return of the Jedi versus the number 6 seed of the Force Awakens. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens. Let's jump up with our timer. Let's debate this. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a movie that finished the first trilogy, and we got the movie that started the new trilogy. My feelings on let's start with Force Awakens first. The Force Awakens, I think, the first time I saw the Force Awakens, I really liked it. There was so much hype and so much nostalgia, and just the atmosphere of the world. Really, it was a cultural phenomenon, and that's why it made so much money at the box office, because everyone was dying to see new Star Wars. It had the promise of so much, and I would say generally it delivered. To me, the rewatchability kind of has diminished since I saw it. And I've seen this movie a lot. I've seen this movie a number of times. I saw it 3 times in the theater alone, and then a handful of times on digital. And each time, now I'm not going to say that I disliked the movie, but each time I saw this movie, it got a little bit less and a little bit less. So as of now, especially after seeing the full sequel trilogy come to fruition, I think it's okay. I think it's an okay film. I thought for a starter film for a new trilogy, I thought it was really good. And I wish that the second film, despite what I did like or didn't like about The Last Jedi, I wish that they picked up the ball more for this film, just because I think tone-wise, I think having all 3 films be this tone, at least, I think would have been good, because definitely I think the Rise of Skywalker and Force Awakens are basically sequels in tone. Forget story, just tone and look and feel. They're much more closer together. And then let's talk about Return of the Jedi. The culmination of the original trilogy, the third movie that we thought was going to be the last Star Wars movie a lot of us ever saw, those of us of a certain age. Now, I'm very torn about voting for this movie, because what do I vote for? Do I vote for the special edition, which is literally the only thing we can watch? I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people have old physical media. Some people even have the Laserdisc versions of it. Oh, excuse me. Hit the wrong button. I meant to mute that. That clearly didn't happen. Do I vote for the special edition, which is by far, without a doubt, 100% the worst of the original trilogy for special edition? Jabba's palace to me is almost unwatchable, and that hurts. It hurts because growing up, that was one of my favorite scenes. I felt bad. Okay, I felt bad for the Rancor trainer. Okay, because the Rancor got a raw deal. Right, here's this giant that everyone thinks is this horrible creature who just eats people, and in reality, he's a malnourished giant creature who is trapped in a dungeon, who probably doesn't, get any sunlight, barely gets any food, barely gets any water. Yeah, there's a trainer, but really, how good do they treat the Rancor? And they just throw bodies down there for amusement, and then he's a show puppet. So the Rancor gets a raw deal. He really does. And I always felt bad when the Rancor died. That was the one thing that like really hurt my soul about the Return of the Jedi. And I I know that's a weird stance and a weird take, but I truly believe that the Rancor got a raw deal in Return of the Jedi, and I shed a tear every time I watch that. All right, so that being said, there's no way that I'm voting for Force Awakens over the Return of the Jedi. It's the Return of the Jedi is a classic film. I'm gonna vote for the original version that I saw back in '83. So Return of the Jedi for me is the one. So before time runs out, I better vote for this. So I'm going to vote 3 for Return of the Jedi, and it's moving on. There's no way. I like you, Force Awakens. You're a fun movie. I had a good time watching you, but at the end of the day, here's what I got to do. I got to go for Return of the Jedi. So there we have it. Return of the Jedi is closing out the vote right now. So I'm going to jump over to our bracket and add in Return of the Jedi. I don't think anyone really thought anything other than Return of the Jedi. I mean, maybe, I know there's a lot of Force Awakens fans out there for sure, but this is what we got going on. So let's close this out. Let's head over to our bracket and take a look and see where we're at now. So moving on, Return of the Jedi, the number 3 seed, going over the number 6 seed, The Force Awakens. And now comes our final matchup of the first round. We have the number 2 seed of A New Hope going up against the number 7 seed of The Rise of Skywalker. So let's head over to that debate right now, and let's start our poll. Okay, this one, I'm not going to say it's close, but I do want to talk it out. So The Rise of Skywalker is new. It just came out this weekend. It's mixed reviews is calling it kind. There is a 50, I think last time I checked, it was like 58 something, 58, 57 on Rotten Tomatoes, with a high 80% certified fan rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, that's not the end all be all. And in my opinion, if a movie is at least over 50%, and I know Rotten Tomatoes gives it the rotten squishy tomato icon, which I think is a travesty, not just for this movie, just generically across the board. Because I'm telling you, if I have a 50% chance of liking a movie, I think it's worth giving something a shot. But anyway, it's my own issue with Rotten Tomatoes. So Rise of Skywalker, like I said, mixed reviews. And me personally, here's how I feel about it. I have watched countless YouTube channels. I've listened to podcasts. I've talked to friends about this movie, and I get every single complaint that people have. I cannot deny them. They are not incorrect. A lot of them are not stretching it. A lot of them are not nitpicking it. There's a lot of flaws with this movie. I concede that 100%. That being said, I don't know if it was just me, but because I saw some of those things as I was watching it, but I sort of just let it wash over me and thought, you know what? these sequel trilogy movies are what they are. So I'm just going to not nitpick this. I'm not going to think about logic flaws. I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just going to relax. I'm going to enjoy the story that they're giving me and enjoy the action. And that's what I did. So I actually walked out liking this film, and I'd seen it twice in the theater, and I liked it. I still like it. It's not the greatest movie in the world, and I know that some people feel that if you like this movie, that maybe your IQ is a little low just because you are not thinking it through. But you know what? It's fine. I'm not going to say that this is a great movie, but I am going to say that it was a fun movie, and that's pretty much what I'm going to say about this, and which is fine. You know what? I'm okay with just a fun Star Wars movie, and it was fun. I liked it. It wasn't, not the greatest, but I enjoyed it. All right, so then we have the movie that started it all. We have the movie that it not only inspired this huge franchise lasting for decades, but inspired filmmakers for generations to come. Everyone knows that Star Wars is a movie that people just gravitated to, not just filmmakers, but just general pop culture, people around the world. This was the movie that started it all. It gave us our main characters of Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo, and Darth Vader, and R2-D2, and C-3PO, and Chewbacca, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and all these characters that have permeated our society for so long. And I'll say this, when I was growing up, and young, obviously, this was my favorite Star Wars movie. I've since changed my mind, just because of, as you get older, you're into a little more different themes and whatnot. But this was my favorite movie of the trilogy, of the original trilogy. So to honor that, I am definitely voting for A New Hope. Some of the stuff in this movie, when you rewatch it, maybe, it's dated. It's a little dated, which is totally fine. It's holds such nostalgia for people, and it brings you such joy that honestly, like anything that is negative about the film, I think is fine. I think that it's really not that big of a deal. So there you have it. I am definitely going to vote Star Wars. So Star Wars is probably going to move on. Unless for some reason we get somebody jump in at the last second here voting for Rise of Skywalker. Since I'm the only one here chilling right now, I doubt it. So to me, Star Wars, A New Hope, original version, because there are some very, very questionable things that were done in the special edition. I'll just say McClunky, okay? Just recently, even McClunky is... I tell you, why can't they just leave this film alone? Just give us the original. Just put it on Disney Plus, please. I'm begging you, put it on Disney Plus. It's not going to cost you anything. I know that what you have going on with Lucas, but come on. You wanna get people back. You wanna earn some trust. Releasing the original films on Disney Plus will do it. I promise you, it'll do it. You'll get so many more people back on your side just by doing that. You're gonna get a lot of people. All right, New Hope is moving on. So here we go. Let me run to our bracket. Make sure that A New Hope is the one that is moving on for sure. All right, so A New Hope, and this is going to be a fun and interesting second round for sure, because we have some definitely heavy hitters going on. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at our bracket one more time. There we go. All right, so we got our bracket back, and this is where we're going for the second round. Okay, we have the number 1 seed, The Empire Strikes Back, going up against the number 5 seed of Rogue One, and we have the number 3 seed, Return of the Jedi, against the number 2 seed, A New Hope. I'm pretty sure that no one's really shocked by this, how all 3 original trilogy movies are in. Rogue One probably a shock. I bet if there were a lot more people here, Revenge of the Sith was going to move on. But guess what? I'm the only one here. And so next time, make sure you come in and you're hanging out and you're voting, because this is what I want. This is what I want. A lot of people in here talking and voting and giving their opinions, and I can read off from the chat and we can get a good discussion going. So this is where we're at right now, going into the second round. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to take a quick 2-minute break. That way we can set up for the next round. I hope you stick with us because we have some incredible matches going on right now, and I can't wait to jump through them. So we will be right back in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back. Thank you for holding on for those couple minutes. Everything's all set up, and now we are ready to jump right into it and go right into our next round. Let's just remind everybody where we're at. Number 1 seed Empire Strikes Back going up against number 5 seed Rogue One, and the number 3 seed of Return of the Jedi going up against the number 2 seed of A New Hope. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into our debate screen again, and let's jump in and start this timer. Empire Strikes Back against Rogue One. If you want to vote Empire Strikes Back, hit exclamation vote 1 in the chat. If you want Rogue One, exclamation vote 5 in the chat. So, like I said before, Rogue One is such a fun movie. Now, here's where I got to start nitpicking, right? Because it's some heavy hitters. Now we got to really lock it down. So I talked before about my issues with the third act. So let's break that down a little bit. I don't understand the whole I am one with the Force is with me part. I mean, when I say I don't understand it, like I mentally understand what that's all about. But the whole end where all of a sudden improbability of people walking through basically a minefield of stormtroopers and bombs and gunfire and lasers and all sorts of stuff, and then all of a sudden they're just walking, and first of all, nobody's getting shot, and this is not a movie where people don't get shot. A lot of people get shot. And the other thing is the control panel is in like this random place in the middle of the yard. I don't get that. I feel like that was definitely part of what they did to sort of rewrite the third act, and that didn't work for me. Like that whole sequence, I didn't really enjoy how a lot of the people died. And I wish I did, because the first two acts were so good, and part of me doesn't even understand what Forrest Whitaker was doing in the retakes. What was up with that like mind alien thing? I don't even know. This movie's not perfect. Empire Strikes Back, it's really hard to knock this movie. I could, but there's really not much to. And I guess when we get to the next round, because I'm clearly voting for Empire Strikes Back, so I'm doing vote one. I'm gonna have to think of some things, because I definitely think that this movie could lose to the next matchup of New Hope or Return of the Jedi. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to do that. But it's definitely beating Rogue One. I really wish, K2SO is a great character for sure. Ben Mendelsohn was great in this movie. Mads Mikkelsen was great in this movie. Such good acting. Felicity was great. I mean, it's such a fun movie, and I feel really bad about this losing, and it sucks, because any other movie that I think it would have went up against, it might have had a shot to win, but going up against a buzzsaw like Empire Strikes Back, you're not going to win. You're not going to win that battle, for sure. So I think we have it here. The votes are done. Time is at 0. So we are moving on. So I'm going to add Empire Strikes Back as getting 100% of the vote. Empire Strikes Back is going to move on. So let's add that to our bracket. And then we'll just go ahead right now and take a look. Jump back to our bracket. Here we go. Empire Strikes Back moving on. 100% of the vote over Rogue One. So let's go to our next matchup. Number 3, Return of the Jedi, going up against the number 2 seed of A New Hope. Let's jump into that debate right now. And then let's complete that one, and then let's start this one. So there we go. Return of the Jedi, A New Hope. Man, this is tough, because like I said before, A New Hope was my favorite movie as a kid. Because as a kid, it definitely has a lot of themes that you can latch on to. The kid who came from nothing, wanted nothing in his life but to go on an adventure, and then forced into it and forced into figuring out who he was. You have the scoundrel Han Solo that's around for the first time, and what a weird role model he turned out to be, right? I mean, here's this guy who in the original version murdered somebody in the first 30 minutes of the movie, and yet by the end of the movie you are rooting for him, and he becomes a lot of people's favorite character. And Princess Leia is a badass, and she can handle herself even when she's in the prison and she gets rescued. She's the one that actually rescues everyone, although her plan was not great, jumping into a trash compactor where they almost all died. And if it wasn't for R2D2, they would be dead. So but whatever, we look past that because it's a fun movie. So Star Wars, the original, it's so good. Now, Return of the Jedi, I think the Ewoks get a lot of hate for no reason. I never had a problem with the Ewoks, even as a kid, although I guess when I saw the movie, I was 3-4 years old. So as a 3 or 4 year old, why would I have a problem with Ewoks? So I think I may have just had an epiphany here, where if I, as a young kid, didn't have a problem with the Ewoks, why would a young kid have a problem with Jar Jar? So I guess that explains why people that I know who are older than me might have problems with the Ewoks, especially back then. I guess because when you're older, it seems a little cheesy and stupid. But the whole everything on Endor, I loved. I loved the speeder chase. I loved the walkers. I mean, it's so good, and the space battles are incredible. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I might have just talked myself into Return of the Jedi. I can't believe this. I am voting for Return of the Jedi. I swear I was gonna vote Star Wars A New Hope. I was gonna do it. I had full intention of voting for A New Hope, and I think just talking it out, I think I just talked myself into Return of the Jedi. I don't know how I did that, but I did, and I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of people's favorite. And why wouldn't it be? It's a great movie. I mean, the whole stuff with Jabba and his barge and his palace. Man, I honestly, I'm shocked. I'm legitimately, without question, shocked at myself that I voted Return of the Jedi, and it's moving on. So let me go ahead and let's go. Let's go to our bracket here. I gotta put in Return of the Jedi. I'm shocked. I mean, I did not think that was happening. This is gonna be tough for me because I can't believe that happened. All right, so let's take a look at the bracket. Because now I'm stunned. Okay, so here we go. We got the number 1 seed, The Empire Strikes Back, going up against the number 3 seed, Return of the Jedi. Those are your finals, ladies and gentlemen. Your final 2 competitors. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take an even shorter break. We're going to just take a 1-minute break here because we need to go ahead and set up for this final round. This one's a really quick break. So I appreciate your patience. Short break. We'll be right back. And then we're going to get to this incredible final matchups of 2 powerhouse films. We will be right back. Welcome back. We are going to jump right into it. We got this incredible finals. Let's go to our bracket. Here we go. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Let's go ahead and debate this. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Because I talked myself into voting for Return of the Jedi just now, I think that it has a greater shot than I thought. Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest movies ever made. Not just Star Wars movies, greatest movies ever made. The relationships between the characters are things that most movies strive for. The relationship between Han and Leia, where somehow it made a romantic relationship work. Not, it's in an adventure movie, in a sci-fi movie, in a fantasy movie, it's very difficult to have a romance actually work. Especially, I did it that time, especially with a scoundrel, an admitted scoundrel, and a princess who is incredibly hard-headed. And it's one of those opposite attracts things. So that relationship, you have the relationship between Luke and Vader, and the twist that shocked the world where he was his father. And it ends on a sour note or a down note, or, the good guys don't win. That doesn't always happen. And, it really is a hard-hitting film. Return of the Jedi is light. It's fun. You get what you want from an adventure film. That's for sure. I think at the end of the day, I have to go with my gut. And my gut says I have to vote for The Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back to me is hands down one of the best movies of all time. I don't know that there's ever been another movie like it. Certainly every other movie in the world tries to emulate Empire Strikes Back. Every time there's a trilogy, the second one of the trilogy is always compared to Empire Strikes Back. It's in our vernacular to call something that is the second one the Empire Strikes Back of the thing, of this trilogy, of that trilogy. It's a verb at this point. Empire Strikes Back, to me, one of the greatest movies ever made. So I voted for it. Therefore, it is at 100%. Let's go ahead. Let's check the bracket. And there we go. Empire Strikes Back is your winner, ladies and gentlemen. The Empire Strikes Back is the best, according to this quick tournament bracket in one day, the greatest Star Wars film of these 8 that we have presented for you. So thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this, do me a favor. Please subscribe to the channel. Please notify, hit that bell. Please like the channel. All that will do such wonders for the channel and this video. If you actually like this video, we appreciate it so much. I understand that there's a lot of choices out there. So thank you so much for watching this. And we really hope you come back next week. We do one every single week. Normally they're Tuesday nights, but due to the holiday schedule, things are a little mixed up. So we are coming back again next Monday. Next Monday night, we are back again doing another debate. So please check our social medias at Fanjecture on Twitter, and check our YouTube channel for the feed for the video. And we will be back next week. Please join us. I want a nice full vote, nice full discussion, and we hope you join us again. So until next time, I'm Adam Douglas. I've been your host. Thank you so much for debating with us, and we will see you next week.